Actually, no, Spiral was Saw 9 apparently. 1, 2, 3.
Spiral was a sort of offshoot reboot of it.
Yeah, they're classing it as Saw 9 though.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I never properly saw it. I never actually saw it. But from what I was aware, it didn't continue the story of one. Because one to 7 or 8. I mean, was it 8 films? It wasn't. However
So
many.
they were Saw 1 to 6, and then it was Saw 3D, Saw Jigsaw.
Oh my god, I forgot about Jigsaw. So Jigsaw, basically the end of the story that was from 1 to 7, should we say? I think it's 7. You know, they ended. That's a 7-film story. Then Jigsaw was the sort of reboot, which I think was a different sort of story. But I remember seeing the trailer for that and thinking, why is this so comical? The trailer had so many shitty snarks and jokes and bad dialogue, and then Spiral, I think, was a fresh sort of like if you did Saw, a Spiral, a Saw story, a Jigsaw story. That's like a subtitle.
I mean, Spiral wasn't. I've seen it. It wasn't rubbish, but at the same time, you're watching it going, it's a Saw. It's set in the same Saw universe. They reference the events of Saw.
Oh, okay.
So most of the department are like, someone's setting up traps, just like that Jigsaw guy.
Yeah.
But he's dead, so it can't be him. Which kind of is like Jigsaw. But the only difference with Spiral is whoever is doing it is only targeting police officers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit different from the Saw films, which is anyone. Spiral is just police officers.
Okay, yeah, it's a little bit different. Yeah.
It wasn't bad, but
so you're finally not running off a potato, right?
No, I'm not, and I have a way to fix it moving forward. I'm going to take my webcam because I had to record an audition over the last few days as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh well, I'll use my webcam. And I went to record just not even online. I looked at the quality, went, that is rubbish. So I think my laptop's internal webcam is just crap. So there you go.
I mean, that's one way of putting it. Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is, because this thing's a bit too big to take around with me, but I have like a little, I have like a little mini desk stand for this.
Yep.
So I'm gonna take that and a webcam with me if I have to record at the missus's place, because that way I'll avoid taking this chunky thing with me.
Yeah, the snowball microphone you have there comes with a little tripod, if I remember right. Yeah. That's what I used to have. Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to do instead. That'll make it easier.
No, your webcam looks much more beautiful and less pixelated and less laggy and less freezing.
That's true.
Like you're a fucking robot. We're back to.
Did you catch any of that? No.
I haven't even edited that footage yet. I'm still wondering what to do with it. So I think
we'll just abandon it.
We'll start from scratch, shall we?
We'll start from scratch.
When I say potato, folks.
It was rubbish.
Yeah, we tried this. We went back to January where we started back when we started this podcast, and we failed miserably. It was me. Failed miserably on the recording side, and this time it was T's fault because he was working on a potato computer. So we abandoned the recording and we just postponed it.
You know, what I would say is I say we keep the footage and we do like a special episode where we just release like we look at outtakes. Failed recordings, go, that was that one. Yes, I remember that. Why did that one fail? Because I had not watched the film and I just went into it going, yeah, it's cool. Do you want to lead this one? I'm just going to sit here and be like, oh, yeah, I totally remember that bit.
Yeah, I can do a really good nod and smile.
A bit like when we tried to do our top fives and it's like Alien. Yeah, it's cool.
You're infamous. I'm so tired. I'm going to try this, but I actually cannot do anything because I'm so tired.
It's just your little like, do you want to stop? It's like, yeah.
I think we should start. I think you should go to bed.
I think you should go to bed, yeah.
So we're going to try this again. This is the Dreadcast. Welcome back to the Dreadcast, everyone. This is episode 20. Hello. And this was going to be the special episode about 3 weeks ago when it was me. Hello, I'm Tom. And this was going to be my takeover because it was going to be it was my birthday 3 weeks ago.
It was,
and
yes.
This was my takeover episode because I wanted to do. I was going to do Texas Chainsaw, but we did a lot of that in the top 5, so we need to give that a bit more time before we go back to that.
Yeah.
So I figured Grindhouse. This means a lot to me, Grindhouse, and I will explain why because I have a lot written down. I have a big intro of backstory for this film, Grindhouse as a whole, Planet Terror, which we'll be doing, and Death Proof in the future.
Oh yes.
As you can see, we got the behind the scenes special features book, and we have the DVD, which is actually quite hard to find. There is no Blu-ray. They never released a Blu-ray of Grindhouse because it didn't do very well. It never even got released over here in the cinemas as Grindhouse. It got released separately as Planet Terror and then Death Proof. It's a shame. It's a real shame because I eventually got to see Grindhouse at the Prince Charles Cinema in London.
Nice.
The whole shebang. The whole fake trailers, which we watched. You can go check out that video now. That is live on the Dreadcast official YouTube channel, which is doing well, that video. So go check it out where we review all the fake trailers for Grindhouse. But yeah, it was really cool to get to see it. How did you? Because over this past few weeks when we've been talking about this, how did you find this in the end? Did you just download it?
I will admit I downloaded it. I can't remember, I know it was from a friend of mine in school, I believe, who I think they'd mentioned Death Proof. It might have been Death Proof they told me about, and they said, "Oh, you should check out Death Proof about cracked stuntman, takes people in his car, takes them for a ride, things that end well." And that's probably where he mentioned, "Oh, it comes with this second film, Planet Terror." So it's like, okay, I'll check him out. I think that's where I'm gonna believe that's where I saw it. I heard it from. Otherwise, there's no other way. I can't remember the real reason. It was probably that, and I torrented it because I had no money at the time. I was a 15, 16-year-old. So
oh, sorry, you're talking about the first time. You're already on to the first time you saw it. I just meant for this review.
Oh, when did I watch this again for the review?
Because you hadn't seen it for a while.
Oh, I was just. Oh, okay. I was getting to the backstory. I haven't seen it probably in about. So if I watched it when I was first 16, it's probably 15 years since I've seen it. Which is why when we did the trailers, I had seen them for the first time because the torrent that I watched didn't have them. There were no trailers in. The person who had ripped them had for some reason deleted or removed those bits of the film. And probably because, like you just said, they were released as 2 films. Yeah. So to have, obviously, I think I saw the Machete one because that's right at the start of Planet Terror.
It kind of comes with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, obviously, if you watch it as a whole, you would then get the other trailers in the middle of Planet Terror and Death Proof. But the torrent was split, so the guy obviously went, well, once I've seen Planet Terror, there's no point in having these fake trailers in. I'll just get rid of them, and then you watch Death Proof.
Yeah, so I can understand why whoever would make that torrent would do that. But at the same time, you're depriving because it's a niche film. It's not for everyone. Death Proof is probably was probably more popular because of the Tarantino name. Like people know Rodrigeuz, but people know Tarantino a lot more. But you put them together, you hear Grindhouse. What? You're depriving people of the whole everything. The other
thing is, it's the whole runtime it's over 3 hours long.
It's incredibly long.
So probably at the time when it came out, people would have been, oh, we've just done we've done a film together called Grindhouse.
Yeah,
it's over 3 hours. It's 3 and a bit hours long. Most cinemas would have gone, how long? It's like we're not going to have people sitting for that long. And I must admit, the first 3 hour film I saw was the remake of King Kong. And I went to see that with a friend of mine in a cinema. And after about an hour and a half, I was sitting there going, oh my God, I'm so numb. And I was just remember sitting there going, when is this film over? Because 3 hours back then was a long time for a film.
Yeah, it has its exceptions. Like Lord of the Rings will always be an exception.
Oh, yeah.
Good
9 hour epic, that is.
It'll always be down to how well it's shot, the storytelling, the dialogue, everything. All those factors can make a 3 hour film feel like a 2 hour, hour and a half film. it feels like he just breezes by. I think this, because of the way they're meant to be shown, they're meant to be Planet Terror first, then Death Proof. Death Proof is a very script-heavy film. You could get tired and dwindle out halfway through Death Proof if you did the whole lot.
I noticed that. Obviously, we'll get into Death Proof later because I thought we were. I must have. I thought I had to. When we first tried to record this episode, I was frantically thinking, "Oh my god, I've only seen half of Death Proof. I have to get through this."
You got time.
But one of one of the first things I did notice, like you said, is the two films. They're vastly. You can feel the different directors.
Incredibly different.
And as soon as I started watching Death Proof, there's a bit at the start. Also, we'll get back to Planet Terror, but it's just dialogue. It's just this great long scene where they're talking, and
Is that the girls in the car?
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
And
it's just dialogue.
If you've seen Tarantino films, you're sitting there going, I can tell this is a Tarantino film.
Yeah,
because this is just his trademark stuff. It's just a long scene, but he's so well crafted with his dialogue. It just keeps you entertained.
Mm-hmm. Well, before we get into it, you're changing changing the order around. Before we get into it, this is Dreadcast episode 20, Planet Terror. But before we do that, you can find all of our content on the official YouTube channel, The Dreadcast on YouTube, where we have trailer breakdowns, where we started doing. We've got a new horror Let's Plays by yours truly. And we have all the past episodes of the main podcast, where, as of now, as we record, the Slumber Party Massacre episode is now up to 16,000 views. That I do not know how that's blown up, but thank you to anyone who's watched it. But you can check out all the video content on the Dreadcast YouTube channel. You can also find the rest of this in audio form on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, Amazon Audible, Podbean, and I believe that's it.
Yeah, I will just quickly update you.
What are we up to?
18,000 now.
It's gone up to 2,000 in a couple of hours.
We've also gained another subscriber in that time, so thank you. We now have 31 subscribers. Thank you
very much.
Subscribed. I will give you an update because you can also find us on TikTok as well. Now, TikTok, you're probably going to hear it in a second. Oh no, I did it quickly. We now have 144 followers on TikTok. So thank you for following us.
Fantastic.
And viewing all my slightly weird videos that I post. I am trying to keep them as horror related as I can, because obviously that's the brand that we're going for. And I have cut down on the people I was following to keep them, quite horror centric.
What we do here. We do horror here.
We do horror here. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Catmaids, as you can see to my left.
Oh, she's not in the footage. It's okay.
Oh, okay. Ignore that comment. Then there's no cat girl there.
And finally, you can find us on Instagram at _Dreadcast, where I post the updates to the videos and random horror shit. So
we will eventually get a Twitter, but
it's just there's so much social media to get.
I know, it really is.
With life as well. I mean, we can barely keep up with doing a podcast. So, I mean, so. Let's get into it. I have a little intro. I just want to. I think I talked about this in the fake trailers. You could do your nodding and yep. If I'm rambling too much, but if he just drinks his tea and
I'll just randomly throw in a fact. It's like, oh, there we go. Okay, back to you.
So I think I mentioned this in the fake trailers, but I first saw the trailer for this sometime around when I was in art college. So I'm talking late 2006, 2007, whenever it came out, because the film came out in 2007. But I was so hooked on the trailer. The trailer was everything I loved about gritty horror B-movie style film. I downloaded the trailer, put it on my PSP. That's right, folks, a PlayStation Portable.
Oh yes.
Took a while to convert it to the right format. And I carried that shit around with me everywhere, showing people. I was like, you got to see this. You got to see this. This is so different from anything you've ever seen. Got a few people hooked, but everyone, this looks trash. This looks trash. Yes, it's meant to look trash. That's the point of it. But anyway, I digress. This film hooked me, and it kind of made me do what I do for a living today, which is prop making. I ended up making a miniature set of the army barracks in the film, which you see at the beginning of the film. which is actually Robert Rodriguez's Troublemaker Studios. They shot on location at his studios. Made it look like an army base because it's actually an old Air Force base.
Oh, that's cool.
When you shoot at night, get the right light in, paint job, you've got a great set. And I made a miniature version of that, and ever since then, that's pretty much what I've been doing for a living. So it's weird to think that a film like this, not something like The Thing, Terminator, Jurassic Park, anything that has some of the best practical effects in film. No. It was this that made me want to do a miniature, which then got me into props. It's a completely arse backwards way of getting into it, but hey ho.
That's also where your Twitter, your social media your personal ones came from, because you were Grindhouse, weren't you?
I wasn't going to mention that, but yeah. Now you say it, I guess I'll publicize it a bit more. that feels like you just happened to bring it up naturally.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I'll go back to nodding.
When I first started my own YouTube channel, I was focusing on movie licensed video games, and I figured because most of the movie licensed video games that are out there are really shit, they're really bad.
Yeah.
I called the channel Gaming Grindhouse. That has changed over time, but that's just another backstory as to how much I love Grindhouse and love Planet Terror.
I think one of the first interactions we had, because I can't remember how I found you on Twitch. I think I came through. It was probably the Fluxes, and I ended up in your stream. Yeah, and one of them was because you offered a prop to be made a prop, and I was like, oh, cool. And then I think I saw how many points I had to get, and I was like, I am never going to get that many points. So I really wanted to get the what was it? Oh, the dagger from Prince of Persia. That was it.
I believe I made it 100,000.
It was something like that, and I was like, I'm gonna have to watch a lot of this guy's content to get there. And now we make a podcast together.
We do, and this takes enough time. So you get this, instead of a prop.
Oh, that's fair enough.
So that's my little backstory. I just wanted to get that in there. Now, as I go through my notes, we discussed the fake trailers.
Yep.
So we can get finally straight into the film.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you were about to say something about the fake trailers.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know if we mentioned it in the fake trailers one, but obviously most of those fake trailers, two of the fake trailers were then films. Machete and Hobo with a Shotgun.
Yes, that is right.
Although both of us did agree that Nope would have been a fantastic film.
Nope was a film by Jordan Peele. I think you mean Don't.
Oh, Don't. Sorry. Yes, Don't, not Nope.
I wasn't letting you go with that one.
No. Got it. Yes, Don't. That was it. Would have been a great film.
Don't would have been fantastic. I think Thanksgiving.
Oh, that would have been great as well.
I think we both said Grindhouse 2 should have been Thanksgiving and Don't.
Yes, that's right. Eli Roth and Edgar Wright. Come on, hurry up.
But yeah, Machete and Hobo with a Shotgun got made. Machete also got a sequel, which was really dire.
Did it?
Yep, called Machete Kills.
Oh,
it has Mel Gibson as the villain.
It's
not very good. Machete is okay. It's not as good as Planet Terror.
Not Nuns with Guns, as I thought.
Not Nuns with Guns, as you thought.
No.
So, Planet Terror, a very bog standard, simple, not zombie film. I'm going to call it like we discussed with Sadness. They're not zombies. I call them monsters. Even though in the film they call them sickos, they're just monsters.
I would say that it's interesting that we seem to be getting into a little bit of a connection thread with the Sadness and the crossed comic books.
Yeah.
Because again, I would say I guess you would call them the infected in this Planet Terror.
Sickos.
Sickos.
Yeah.
They show they're like very prototype infected that the Cross would later use, especially in the scene where it's in the hospital scene where you see them kind of, whilst they're giving off that zombie-ish vibe, a lot of them are actually using utensils and things to inflict harm, which later on the Cross and the Sadness would kind of touch upon.
So I've taken a lot of notes from this Bible here. I don't know. I did a lot of extensive reading. There is a lot of information in here. It's incredible, this book.
I need to get me some of these books. They look fantastic. My first one will be the Friday the 13th one, because I'm so jealous you have that.
Yeah. Crystal Lake Memories. Yeah. But it does state about what they wanted to do with these zombies, but they're sickos. They're not humans. They're not the dead coming back to life.
No, they're not.
There are humans that are their bodies reacting to this virus, this nerve gas, the DC-2 as it's called in the film, which was discovered in a cave in Afghanistan by Bruce Willis and his soldiers.
When they killed Bin Laden. Yes,
when they killed Bin Laden, and they've almost become addicted to it. They need it. They need to survive. But if they get too much, they get sores and they just become these sickos. But any human, normal human that is exposed to it becomes this sicko, no matter what. And these sickos are just monsters, like you said. They just want to kill. It's like the sadness.
Yeah.
But we see some eating. Some do want to eat flesh, but it's not like their MO.
Yeah.
It's not their MO.
No.
Like a Romero zombie. They want to kill and eat flesh. Or a Return of the Living Dead zombie where brains.
Right.
They just want to kill. They're just monsters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's a very simple film actually when you break it down.
Incredibly simple.
They pretty much spell out from the start of it. It's some sort of military deal gone wrong. Nerve gas escapes. It's like, oh shit, and all hell breaks loose. That's it, and it just rolls on.
Yeah. The nerve gas is occupied by a dodgy dealer played by Naveen. I have his name here. Naveen Andrews from Lost. Now, actually, speaking of Lost, this came out in 2007, around the time Lost was, I believe, at its peak. I was way into Lost until it shit the bed. You've also got Jeff Fahey. I can never pronounce his last name. Jeff Fahey playing JT in this film. He's the barbecue cook. So both
JC's
Naveen
great.
and Jeff from Lost sort of cross paths in this. Naveen Andrews plays Abby, who is the dealer, shall we say, who has the nerve gas, like you said. And the deal goes sour. Bruce Willis wants his shit, as he calls it. Where's the shit?
Yeah. I thought this is such a great opening to this film. I absolutely love this opening because it's such an odd opening because we get introduced to Abby. It was Abby, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, Abby. And he's meeting up with his associate. And one of my notes was this dude has a really weird contract with these people.
Yeah.
Because his colleague, I think his colleague loses his prototypes. Obviously, we don't get to see what the prototypes are. And he just goes, oh, yeah, so, you lost my prototypes. It's like, oh, yeah, sorry about that. I'll get them back. It's like, no. As per the contract states, I'm going to take your nuts. I remember when I watched this again and went, oh, I forgot about that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And he just brings out this big, like, fish gun hook. And I'm like, who's signed to deal with this madman?
Yeah, Abby collects balls. Testicles,
pickles
basically.
them as well.
And the prop for it, they stated about the props in this film that because a lot of it was shot at night, they included a lot of LED work in their props to make it pop more. Because if it's shot at night, stuff's harder to see. So this jar that Abby has, it's like a massive, like you'd call a pickle,
huge.
like a twice the size pickle jar.
Oh yeah,
but it's LED. It looks very scientific, and it's got.
Yeah.
I want to say like testicles in formaldehyde in it, and he collects them. So he's a very interesting character. Very interesting character.
He's got the pickle ball holder, dude.
Yeah.
And it's when they take off this dude's nuts, and he just he puts his phone. He goes, squidgy. He's like, yeah, pick that up. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, it's gross. And also, this is not even the first scene. The first scene of the film is a fantastic soundtrack played by Robert Rodriguez, which ends up being the Grindhouse theme tune. A very bassy, gritty guitar riff with our lead female protagonist, played by Rose McGowan, playing Cherry Darling. Doing a dance on the stage, like a go-go dance.
Yes, that's it.
It's a great opening. It's a fantastic opening.
I like this. Again, the sound here is the music for it is great. What I particularly loved is the way that at the end of the go-go dance, and Cherry, obviously as the dance goes on, you can see that Cherry is getting more and more upset, and you can see her mood just going down. Eventually, she starts crying, and she looks like she goes to scream, and the trumpet that just kicks in as she does it, and it mimics the way she screams. And I thought that was such fantastic piece of editing there to mix those two together. It was great.
The camera focuses in on her mouth as like you said, the trumpet kicks in. It's a really good piece of editing. So the film,
lovely shot.
The film is kind of like a zombie apocalypse film. If we simplify it as that, it's a zombie apocalypse film, but they're not zombies. All caused by this nerve gas. DC2 they call it. But you've got a couple of stories in the mix. The main one featuring Cherry Darling, who is an ex go-go dancer, quits, tries to find her way and meets up with her ex at a barbecue house.
Yes, that's right.
Basically, and her ex, El Rey, is the coolest guy in the film.
Yep, he is Freddy Rodrigeuz.
Yep, not Robert Rodriguez's son, as you thought.
No, I thought he was the director. I got it wrong. I got it confused.
Yep.
That is my bad.
So they basically meet up, and oh my god, I'm mind blanking. How am I mind blanking?
It's interesting. What I thought this film did well upon, whilst we're talking about, Cherry Darling, who meets her ex El Rey, and obviously at that point in time they meet JT.
Yep.
What this film did well was it was the connections they had between the characters.
Yes. Yeah.
I loved it because
there was a lot that build up over time.
Yeah. So when we see Cherry leave, she leaves the go-go dance. She goes, you know what? I've had enough. I'm out. I'm done. Takes a, I don't know what it is, like tip. She gives the finger to her boss and goes, all right, as I'm off. And then I must admit, the opening to this, it felt a bit like a slasher. Because she's walking down the road. It's very abandoned. And you just see the car that comes past her. And I remember looking at it going, this feels like an homage to the 1970s very early slashers where it's that dark street. Something's behind you. It's like, oh, we're getting those vibes. Cool. But then we're introduced to Fergie at JT's. Fergie breaks down.
Fergie is in this film. Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas,
right,
folks.
Yep. Fergie's like, right, I've got to fix this car. JT comes out, fills up, and goes, are you saving the world? Yes, I am. Drives off. Cherry arrives. Oh, hey, Cherry. And they're all so well connected.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like they're shoving it in your face. It's like, here's the one character, here's the other character, here's the other character. They all just seem to gravitate towards each other, which is fantastic.
And they organically blend into each other. Over time, all these characters that have linking stories. So we've got Cherry and El Rey's story, the old couple, the now exes. We've also got the doctor couple. The doctor couple played by Josh Brolin. Josh Brolin.
Yep, Josh Brolin and Marley Shelton.
Yes.
Dr. Dakota Block and Dr. William Block.
Yes, so they're the doctor couple. They are about to do their night shift, and they've got the crazy babysitter twins looking after their son, who is played by Robert Rodriguez's younger son. So we've got their story at the hospital. They have no love for each other. We find out she is looking to run away with her son with a lover, but we don't find out who the lover is.
No.
Till a bit later on. But when we do find out who the secret lover is, it's another connection to another character we've seen.
We've also then got Sheriff Haig, played by Michael Biehn.
I love
who is
Michael
connected
Biehn in this.
to JT. Obviously, we find out that they're brothers.
Yep.
They have this great sibling rivalry where Sheriff Haig keeps putting up JT's rent because he's annoyed that JT doesn't give him the secret sauce recipe, and he just sits and goes, well, if you didn't raise my rent so high, there's a great touching moment where he asks, if you didn't put my rent up so high, I'd give you the recipe. He goes, I'll tell you what, give me the recipe, I'll drop the thing. And it's this great moment between the two brothers. It's lovely.
Best in Texas.
Damn ribs.
JT runs the barbecue shop, and his brother Michael Biehn plays Sheriff Haig, with his deputies played by Tom Savini.
See, this is why I loved watching this film again so many years later, because I now recognize so many of the people that were involved in this film. Because when I saw it for the first time, I had no idea who Tom Savini was because I was quite new to horror at this point in time. And now looking back, I went, I'm fairly certain that's Tom Savini. Oh, great! And I must admit, his death scene was just fantastic.
You just know that he wanted that death scene.
Oh, he did. He wanted it, and they were like, all right, how do we give Tom Savini, one of the greatest special effects guys in this business, a death scene? And they did it well. It's got to be said.
Thankfully, I actually always thought, before I delved into the research of this film properly, Tom Savini did the actual special effects for this as well, but he didn't. It was Greg Nicotero.
It was, yes.
Oh, sorry, spilled a drink. Anyway, it was Greg Nicotero, who is basically on par with Tom Savini in the special effects world. Modern day, famous for The Walking Dead. I mean, if you've not heard of The Walking Dead, it was quite a big show about zombies. But Greg Nicotero, huge in the special effects world, and he did all the work for Planet Terror. So you know that Tom Savini was like, great, this is what I want. This is what I want.
Oh, yeah.
Destroy my body.
Okay.
Destroy it.
Do it. Let's go. And to be fair, it's got to be said, there's a lot of blood splatter in this, but it's not over the top. That's the thing. It's done well enough that it's not too over the top, but at the same time, it's not. What's the word? It's not overdone. It's not underdone. That's the word. Underdone. That's what I was going for.
Now, I also did. Hang on. Before we move on to, because I didn't review this film in the sense of how we reviewed other films, like how we've done it, like scene by scene. I kind of went in categories. So I've done a lot. I did a lot of notes on like the art design, the sickos, the props, the characters. But I mean, let's finish like the film itself. Let's finish off with describing the film, I guess. So we have our groups of characters that end up connecting in the end. Like you said, we've got JT is the sheriff's brother. We find that out about 20 minutes in by just a simple phone call.
Yeah.
The lover I alluded to earlier of Dakota was actually Fergie. Yep. So that's a connection. But what's great about that is that she's not just some random cannon fodder character that gets killed for no reason. She was on her way to pick up Dakota, who was going to leave her husband with her son. So there's all these little reasons for every character.
Yeah, no character in this film is placed there for what? Hang on, no named character in this film is just there because Tarantino went, "Oh, I need a character just to do something weird," or the scene with Fergie. It's like, "Oh, I've got Fergie in this film, The Black Eyed Peas. Just have her randomly appear." And then that's it. No, it's like, okay, I've got Fergie from Black Eyed Peas. This is her character, and this is what she's going to do. Whether she succeeds or not, who knows? We'll find out later.
Yeah.
But I had a note I was going to do, but I can't remember what it was.
So yeah, like we have all these stories starting to grow throughout the film in the world of this again, quote unquote, zombie apocalypse, and then throughout the film they start to get together. Their stories start to entwine, and we're left with a group trying to survive this zombie apocalypse. While at the same time, we have Bruce Willis, as we talked about earlier. Bruce Willis acts as the an army commando and his merry men of soldiers that have dealt with this nerve gas before. They're trying to get their hands on the shit. So while this group of heroes and survivors are trying to deal with the sickos, they've also got Bruce Willis and his group, in theory, trying to find this. Well, no, actually, because doesn't Abby join up with the group? God, I'm getting confused myself now.
So yes, so Abby disappears from the film.
Yes, he does.
We first meet Abby at the after the go-go dance, after Cherry's quit. We meet Abby. Obviously, Abby's deal goes wrong. He then shoots the nerve gas that he has there. And when the soldiers all go towards it, to breathe it in, he escapes. And we don't see him again until pretty much the end of the film, actually, thinking about it.
Yeah, you're right.
And I believe he's, at some point, I think he's captured by the soldiers, because that's where they run into him. They run into him at the army base again, which is great because, again, we're saying, all these characters are connected. And when you look at the bigger picture, they're always connecting. They always start gravitating back to this army base. That's always where they head up. And so I think that's where Abby comes from. He disappears. Obviously, he doesn't get away, but it's great because, again, he's not just some cannon fodder.
No,
because he's the Bruce Willis character, Lieutenant Muldoon, knows that this is the only guy. Because we learned that Abby worked for the enemy that Bruce Willis and his character were out to kill, and he went, "Well, I'll tell you what, I can give you that stuff, but you can't kill me." So they say, "Right, we'll do a deal with you." So even when they bring him back to the States, so Abby's like, "Well, I'm the only one who can create this, so you still can't kill me." So again, he's got a point in this film.
And also, because Bruce Willis wants. He sort of changes the contract. He wants all of it now. He wants all of the gas, which is then when Abby shoots it, and it's that point of Abby shooting the canister unleashes it on the world. That is the start of the apocalypse, right there at the end of the world. Of him unleashing the gas, and like you say, we don't see him till like the third act.
No, we don't. It's what I loved about this film is there are certain bits of dialogue that very much throw back to, especially older films of the 70s and the 60s, where they subtly drop a hint that, something's coming, and we don't know what it is. I think there's, if I distinctly remember, there's 3 occasions of this. One is from El Rey, one is from Fergie, and one is from Abby.
Okay.
I think Abby's one is when someone asks him, "Oh, where's the nerve gas or something?" And he just stares at the camera and goes, "It's all around us,
everywhere."
And you're like, "Oh," saying, "Oh, okay. Oh, wait, how fast does this spread?" And it starts to feed those seeds of, "Oh my God, how fast does this spread? Is it airborne? Is it touch?" I think the next one, obviously, we talked about is Fergie. When she's filling up a car, JT says, "Oh, well, are you saving the world tonight? Or what are you doing?" She went, "Well, how did you know that?"
Saving lives tonight. Saving lives tonight.
Saving lives tonight. She goes, "Yes, how did you know that?" And takes off. And the third one is, it's great because it comes from El Rey, where he's sitting in the diner with Cherry, and JT goes, "Something special about tonight." And he goes, "What's so special about tonight, huh?" And there's this great little bit of, I can't remember how the music goes, but it just prings over the scene. And again, you're sitting there going, "Oh, what's going to happen tonight? Ooh, something." Because up to this point, you don't see we'll call them the infected. You don't see them.
Sickos. They're actually called sickos.
Sickos. Sorry. Sickos. None of that is seen. We've seen Bruce Willis with a few like weird lumpy bits in his skin, but that's it. So all these clever drops make you think, okay, something is coming, but what is it? What is special about tonight? What's going to happen? And I love those little bits of dialogue.
They did very well to, in theory, keep hidden a full frontal look of a sicko until probably the hospital scene. The hospital scene comes about because after El Rey and Cherry meet at JT's diner, she asks for a ride. I also love the line. The very cheap. The dialogue and script is great because it's so cheesy. It's meant to be cheesy. There's a little bit of back and forth where she's wearing his old jacket.
Oh yes.
And he's just saying, "That's my jacket."
Yeah.
And she's like, "I know." Like, I looked for it for 2 weeks. Yeah. I looked for it for 2 weeks. Where was it? It's just about.
She's like, "Yeah, I know it's your jacket." It's like, "Oh, okay."
Which again, we come back to that jacket a bit later because there is something about that jacket.
Yeah.
Very important. Why he looked for his jacket for 2 weeks.
I did like the little. I really like it's with El Rey's cigarettes, and I don't know why I picked up on this.
Apple cigarettes.
No, it's not in the brand. It's just how many he smoked. I thought it was fantastic. Not that smoking is fantastic. Don't smoke. Obviously, don't do that. But it's a little reference back to 1970s films, especially like the original like rugged kind of action heroes. It's like, He's sitting there, he lights a cigarette. He's like, yeah, smokes it. Next scene, he's like, yeah. He lights another one. And every scene, he seems to be lighting a cigarette. And I just sat there going, how many cigarettes does this man smoke in like a second? He's always lighting one, because that's what back then the action heroes did. It was like, oh yeah, save the day, cigarettes. Like, just had a coffee. Oh yeah, cigarette. Oh, stubbed my toe. I'll have a cigarette. It was cool.
It was cool to smoke.
It was cool to smoke. But
speaking of the cigarettes, they are Apple cigarettes. Do you know about Apple cigarettes?
No, I don't. I'm guessing they weren't made by Apple.
It's one of those things. Red Apple cigarettes. It's one of those things that is in every Tarantino film. Now, granted, this is not a Tarantino film, and I don't know if they're an Easter egg or featured in Death Proof, but they're in. You'll see something to do with Red Apple cigarettes in every Tarantino film.
Well, this isn't, obviously we'll get to it later, but this isn't the only Tarantino thing that we do obviously have in this film.
Oh, I've got notes on Tarantino's bit, which we'll get to.
I can imagine so.
As I was saying, so they leave the diner. They leave in El Rey's big rig, in his big pickup tow truck.
I think it's huge.
But while they're driving, he's talking about how in the nighttime, if you spot a deer, you don't swerve, you don't brake, you hit it.
Just
fucking hit it.
Kill it. Smash it.
Unfortunately, his knowledge and ideas go out the window, because he does swerve when he sees something in the road, but it's not a deer. It's a sicko. And this is what I was saying about how you don't really see the full frontal look of a sicko until the hospital, but you do see a little bit here after they crash.
A little bit, yes, you do. It very, yeah. This is what I loved about the sickos in this, is they keep it vague again about actually how the virus is transmitted. Because there's a scene with Dr. William Block a bit later where he gets covered with some sicko goop thing.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, but where the scene where El Rey wrecks his truck, he rolls it like 10,000 times.
Yeah.
And they're flown out the car, and obviously Cherry, as we later find out, they rip her leg off.
Yeah,
so she loses her leg.
She gets dragged out of the wreckage by the sickos, and he goes after hunting for her.
But unlike Dr. William Block, who becomes infected, she doesn't. So again, it's a bit vague as to how you become infected. Do you have to have the goop on you, or what? It's not really mentioned.
Well, it was noted that they really tried to go for some sort of like leprosy looking illness.
Yeah, there.
But again, like you said, I have no idea how it transmits, because when they take Cherry, they take her out of the truck, and as El Rey, he has an assault rifle in the back of his truck.
Yes,
grabs an assault rifle, has it in a night vision scope, and that's where we see the sickos nom munching and tearing at her leg. And they're grotesque, they're gross, but they're not.
Yeah.
They've not infected her in a way.
No,
they've damaged her. They've taken a limb, which they actually do take. They run off with her limb.
Yeah, they really do. I like how they kept things vague. I like
vague,
that because sometimes I think some films, what they get wrong is they come up with a really simple idea. So, say for example, what was it? I'll go off like the Marvel Zombies comic book.
Mm-hmm.
And the Marvel Comics on boat, and The Walking Dead, and The Crossed. They never give. Well, I'm not sure about The Walking Dead, but they never give an explanation to where the virus came from. They don't.
You never want it.
No. So in The Crossed, I believe they had Patient X, Patient Zero, who had the virus, but again, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
No one knows where it came from. In the Marvel Zombies, they simply say, oh, there was a flash in the sky, a portal opened, they came out, that was it.
Yeah.
And even in The Walking Dead, it was, I think there's a guy in the CDC who goes, well, we're all infected with it. But again, it's like, okay, but where? Yeah. Where did this come from?
as a side note, because about Walking Dead, because I gave up on The Walking Dead.
I did as well.
But
I stopped about
I'm fairly
season
certain
5.
they did actually do
Did they?
And not a reveal. They gave an explanation behind it. I think.
Okay.
I might be wrong.
See,
Walking Dead fans, write in the comments.
Yes, please do. I mean, I read more. I read the comic book, The Walking Dead.
Same.
I love the comic book,
Yeah.
but I must admit, after about 5 seasons of the TV show, I mean, I thought it was. I remember watching the first season. I thought it was fantastic.
It was
brilliant.
Yeah.
I had after the first episode, I think I had a few nightmares because it was just creepy. Well, not creepy, but it was a bit. It's nothing like TV. But after 5 seasons, I went, I just don't care now. Yeah. I don't care, but it felt like it was getting a bit bogged down.
Yeah.
But well done for making 10 seasons out of it. Fair play.
And the rest, yeah.
And the rest, yeah.
Now, how do we get onto this? Oh, the virus.
We were talking.
Yeah, go.
Yes, the virus.
Yeah.
Now, what I think we will mention as well is with this film is it's very much made to look like an old film. So we get we get the film effects, we get the scratching, the popping, the burns, which I think both of us really love that in films. It's lovely. And I noticed it. I don't know, you probably did notice this, but I found that there were over time the quality of the film, it's made to look like it runs down a bit. But I noticed there are 2 distinct levels of, I guess I'll call it distortion.
Yep.
So whenever we're in the hospital, the popping and the grain and the scratching effects are much more intense than outside of the film. And I noticed that every time we go back to this hospital, they get worse and worse and worse. Till after the missing reel scene where it seems to fix itself and go back to a sort of a normal level. Did you notice that?
I did, but I also have the real answer for you.
Oh.
As to they methodically it's not as simple as they filmed it and then added filters on top. They did, but there were certain moments in the film, say, where the tension's building up and a horror moment is about to happen. It's those moments where they added more scratches, more distortion, more hair, more sepia, more filter. It's those moments where they added more of that, rather than simply a character talking to another character, because it wouldn't really work. That you want a nicer shot. It still looked grainy, but it was more of the impactful moments that they really focused in on. So I guess you're kind of there, because there were a lot of big moments like that in the hospital, especially when I'll call it the end of the hospital, where the hospital is obliterated.
Oh yeah, it gets destroyed. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
So
I didn't know. It's cool.
I mean, we may as we're already going through the film. We may as well keep going. It's too good not to keep going through it.
I know, it really is. Now, so obviously, this is where we're introduced to the next round of connection characters here. So El Rey heads to so we head to the hospital now. Mm-hmm. No, sorry, we head to the doctor's house first.
Oh, that's this is where who we talked about earlier, the next couple.
Yes. Yeah. So we get to the doctor's houses, and it's you can tell the tension in the scene is great, because you can tell that the husband doesn't trust the wife doesn't like the husband, and the kid just has no idea what's going on.
Oh, there's no love in this marriage.
No, it's wrecked. And we see her texting someone. She's like, "Oh, are you on time?" It's like, "Yes, I'll be there, honey. Don't worry." It's like, "Okay, cool." And as it's fantastic, because Josh Brolin, he's a big lad, he comes walking up behind her, and you're just sitting there looking at it going, "Oh, he's gonna and she hands him a cup of coffee instead of a pager. You're like, oh, you got out of that one. Okay. Yeah. And even in his eyes, he's looking at her going,
he knows.
You were texting. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think he goes, "Oh, I'll see you later at work." And she goes, "Goodbye."
Like, oh, that's when they arrive at the hospital.
Oh, it is. Yes. Yeah. I'm getting ahead of myself.
So,
and
Dakota, the wife here, she's messaging Fergie. We don't know that yet. Mm-hmm. When she is messaging Fergie, she's talking about she's messaging, but also on the phone to the babysitter. To the babysitters, is that right?
Yes.
So the babysitters in question are these young girls. They're twins. They're just assholes, basically. They're just horrible people. And they eventually
they're pretty violent as well as when they don't get paid.
Yeah, they end up looking after Tony. Tony, yes. But yeah, then our doctor couple arrive at the hospital, and that's where they go their separate ways, and she pretty much states, "That's it. Goodbye. I'm never seeing you again."
Yeah. This is interesting because this hospital scene is where we start to see a little bit more about how this virus can affect people.
Yeah.
So beforehand, it's been about, the nerve gas. Oh, apocalypse is coming. Oh shit, things going down. I must admit, this scene when you see it for the first time, especially when I can't remember his name. It's someone that Josh Brolin's character knows. And he goes, "Oh yeah, I got bit by something." He's like, "Here you go," and you see this weird
patient. The patient. Yeah.
This great special effects bite thing, and even Tony looks and he goes, "Oh mate, that's fucking horrible. That is."
Yeah, it's.
Let's go have a look at it.
He's for the audio listeners. He's got a bite on the inside of his elbow, basically.
I would say it looks more like a puncture wound because they're pretty big holes in his arm.
Yeah, it's about, I guess it like an 8, like a number 8 looking.
Yes, it is.
Two round puncture wounds that look like an 8. In the middle of his arm. The inside of his elbow. It's very grotesque, and in the space of this scene, in a couple of minutes, it grows. It's pulsating and it grows, but he doesn't. He seems so calm about it.
Yeah, he's weirdly calm and
really calm.
I think if you had that on your arm, you'd be freaking out. You're like, this thing's spreading. And
he's like, could you just put some Bactine on it or something? I don't know, just plaster on it.
We get Tony's colleague, who I must admit, I love this guy. It was great. This guy loves his job. He's obviously some sort of virologist.
He's so into it. So into his job.
And Tony's like, "Let me check your tongue." He pulls this guy's tongue and goes, "Oh god," because his tongue is just this big black pus of, it's a big black pus tongue. He goes, "Oh, that's disgusting." Well, this
absolutely
his
disgusting.
colleague is just like, "Whoa, necrotizing fasciitis tongue. Oh, excellent."
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. And it's interesting because obviously, like we said earlier, if you had all this stuff going on, especially this bite in your arm, I mean, they suggest, we got to take your arm off. It's amputation or you're going to die. Although, to be fair,
they do that. They do the emotion. Yeah.
The fact it's infected his tongue, you'd be like, I mean, you're probably screwed.
Yeah.
But again, the guy is really calm. It's like, oh, do you have to do that, guys? I mean, do you have to?
Yeah.
It's like, mate, if it spreads to your chest, you're kind of screwed. It's like, oh.
Yeah, there's no urgency with this scene with this patient and his bite on his arm and then the tongue reveal. There's no urgency. It's more about Doc Block's colleague who is fascinated in all this, and really in the background, while he's there in the scene, he's actually looking at reports of incidents from earlier on in the evening of patients that have come in, and one image that's on the screen is of. I believe it's of Abby's, the guy who was in contract with Abby at the beginning of the film, who got his balls chopped off, because the shot that you see on this computer screen is, I think, one ball left.
No, also, I don't think there's any.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
It's gross, and they're talking about pee coming out everywhere.
They don't point it out though. It's just there.
Yeah.
And they talk about it a bit, but they just leave it in the scene. So every now and then you're like, oh yeah, it's that again. Oh, why am I looking at this?
It's just there. Cool. It's for viewers watching now. Imagine. So I'm here. Imagine there where my computer games are. It's just a screen there, and it's there for a good couple of minutes. Just this grotesque.
Oh yeah.
Grotesque. Something you would see on Rotten.com.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Easily.
Sorry about that. I'll cut that.
Right.
Where were we?
And it's interesting because Marley Shelton, she plays Dakota really well, and I must admit, I think her character's a little bit not psychotic, but a bit odd, shall we say? Because I guess she's like an anaesthetist or something. She does something with needles. She's got these like 3 friends in her pocket, and
3 needles, yeah.
3 needles. It's like you have the red, the green, and I think it's the yellow.
It's red, yellow, and blue. Yeah.
And she is this fussed character. She comes in. She's been summoned to. Obviously, they've sent a message out like, we've got to get this guy, and he's got to have his arm amputated. Blah blah blah. She comes and goes, oh yeah. He goes, hi, my name's Dakota. These are my 3 friends. This one will make you feel less pain. Just stabs him straight away.
Yeah.
This one will make you drowsy, and she keeps stabbing him with these needles. And my only note was, ow, shit, lady, because she stabs him with such a force.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You'd be like, you have no bedside manner whatsoever.
Well, I love. Yeah, she's a simple anaesthetist, but they've given her character this extra, I don't know, boost in her character with just these 3 needles. It's just it just makes it a bit more interesting than here's the needle, I'm going to knock you out. Here's my little gimmick with the needles.
Yes,
it's
because the red one knocks them out. That's the Oh gosh, snap my microphone.
You'll
that's
never see me again.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
And it's great because this little interaction we come back to it pretty quickly actually, with an interaction between the 2 doctor couples.
Yeah.
But before we get there, it's great because El Rey turns up with Cherry.
Yeah.
Like, here's the girl, she's lost a leg, blah blah blah. And they go to take her away, which is when we're introduced, of course, this is our first introduction to Sheriff Haig.
It's a great introduction.
Who comes in,
the shot of walking through the double doors with his deputies by his side.
He walks in, he goes, El Rey, you can't be here. And he goes, I think there's a bit of an argument. He goes, no, I'm going to be here. He's like, no, you're not. You're coming with me. And that's it. Out the door they go.
He arrests El Rey, and you never really learn about. They have a backstory. They have a history, but you never really learn, and you never actually really learn about it throughout the film. He doesn't call him El Rey.
He calls him Ray, doesn't he?
Ray. Apparently, El Rey is his more notorious name.
Yeah.
He then realizes later on, you were the one. You were El Rey.
It was you. If I'd known all along.
Didn't mean to be a prick about it. But I don't. I think he arrests him for the possession of the firearm.
Yes, he does. I think he arrests him because he knows he's got I think he spots the assault rifle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think it's because he says he shot at them or something like that. And that's when he gets arrested, because it's like, right, you're not supposed to have weapons. Mm-hmm. So obviously at some point prior to this film, he's done something with a gun, and the sheriff's like, right, well, no more guns to you. That's it.
Yeah.
But we never find out what, though. So there we go.
Nope. So
I've realised that I have a note which simply says, this film is fantastic. I don't know why. But, I mean, this film is fantastic, so there you go.
It is fantastic. Everyone should go watch Planet Terror.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if you don't want to... The idea of Grindhouse being so overwhelming with 2 feature films and fake trailers, just go watch Planet Terror. And then maybe watch Death Proof for some time later. But watch Planet Terror.
Exactly. It's a fantastic film. And I've got some the problem is I've got notes here that I don't know what they mean. So I'm literally just ticking them, going, I have no idea what this is.
We're about halfway through the film now. So why don't you go through your notes and let's see what you got.
Well, I had, is that Tom's... so the introduction to Michael Biehn was, never fear, a Terminator is here. Because obviously Michael Biehn was the T2 in... Nope, he was the...
He wasn't a Terminator. He's Kyle Reese in T1.
He was. I'm getting my characters confused. So he's not a Terminator. That's totally wrong. That's bollocks. So ignore my notes. Then it was, is that Tom Savini I see? Because obviously Tom Savini turned up. I was like, there we go.
Savini.
Cool.
You got one right.
This film is fantastic. It is. It's cool.
That's 2 for 2.
And then I have, oof, damn, dude.
What's that in reference to?
I don't know.
That could be for a lot of moments in the film.
Now, where is this? I don't know where that comes from. My next note is that slow-mo ring take scene, epic grindhouse levels of blood and gore, gun fu.
Well, that is... I know exactly what you're talking about because that's pretty much our next
There we
scene.
go.
That's our next scene at the police station.
Cool. So obviously these notes had happened at some point
Yeah.
in this bit. I can't remember where, but there you go.
That's what we'll move on to next at the police station. I'll cut that. I was just trying to get a segue to cut so I know where to cut because it's an hour in now. I forgot there's a shitload to talk about with this film. I was just like already at the police station. I was forgetting how much there was. Okay.
It's either that or we split this one into 2 episodes, like Grindhouse.
Yeah, maybe. Well, yeah, we'll just keep going and I can split it.
What we could do is go up to where the missing reel scene is.
And then
you could do a segue there. And they're like, oh, just come back and be like, yeah, so sorry about that. You didn't miss much. Or like have a little joke there. It's like, oh, it's like, yeah, we lost some recording there. Don't know where that happened.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to go through the whole film tonight if you are. Like, or did you want to do a little bit more and then do another bit maybe tomorrow or the rest of the week or
tomorrow? Yeah.
Tomorrow's fine. Tomorrow evening's fine. Yeah.
That sounds good to me.
So do you want to do a little bit more?
Yeah, so if we get to where the missing reel is, because I think that'd be a really cool... We could add like the scratch effects maybe to the bit that goes, oh, and then missing reel. That'd be quite fun.
All right.
Because I've just realised I'm looking at my notes and I'm like, oh my god, it's 10 o'clock. And I'm like, oh shit, I've got like 3 pages of notes left.
I'm the same.
I'm going to have to go back and watch this scene so I can find out where I've got oof damn dude from. Because I have no idea where that's from.
Well, I was thinking with this film to maybe... I wasn't going to go through the synopsis all the way through our review. But then when we were starting to talk about, oh, this character does this, it might get a bit confusing. So maybe it is always best for us to go through the synopsis, but also adding in these points here and there.
So what we could do is maybe at the start is do a quick synopsis breakdown. It's like, today we're doing Planet Terror. Terror, quick run through, not in depth, but maybe just like the few points, and then go right. And then we go into kind of like, our style. That might be quite interesting. Yeah.
I think that's probably a better way for... I mean, I'm going to cut all this out. I think that's probably a better way for us to do it because when we did the sadness, that was like 2 hours. And we pretty much did like shot for shot. So, and it probably won't tire us out as much if we don't do that.
No. Okay, yeah, we could try that then.
Okay, so...
I think that with Damn Dude, I think I remember where it is, so I'll mention it in a sec. Okay.
All right, so we're at the police station. And
that's right.
This is where Elroy, he's on the phone. He's talking to someone, and he's discussing to someone on the phone about DC2, the nerve gas that is out there.
Yes, because he's aware that something's happening.
Well, yeah, from what he saw in his night vision scope on his camera, his assault rifle. Because people don't look like that. People don't look like their head is gargantuan with pulsating blobs and sores and what have you on their head. So he's kind of aware. He's kind of aware something's not right. It's
great here because we get a connection again between Sheriff Haig and Elroy.
Yeah.
As he's interviewing Ray and it's like, all right, what were you doing out there, Ray? Why'd you have the assault rifle?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's like, I can't remember what the reason he gives it. It's like, you're not allowed guns. It's like, I want to know why you had that assault rifle. Tell me something.
Yeah.
And you can see that at some point in the past, these two have clashed. And
there's history there. There's definitely
history there.
Yeah.
And Sheriff Haig knows Ray's not telling him something. Because even the way he says his name, it's like, so, Ray, it's, it's like, I know you're hiding something, but I don't know what.
Yeah.
Like my brother's rib sauce. I don't know what.
Which we alluded to earlier. I think it's at this point as well. Michael Biehn I think it's at this point he's on the phone to JT where we find out they're brothers.
Yes, because there's that back and forth between, stop raising my rent.
Yeah, JT rings him because he's got the two
Yeah.
sickos, which he doesn't know they're sickos. He just says delinquents hanging around outside. He's a bit worried.
That's right.
So he rings the sheriff, and with that phone call, that's where sheriff tries to get the barbecue sauce recipe and talks about the rent being high, and that's where we know they're brothers.
That's it. Yes. Now this has got to be one of the best scenes in this film, because
this is what you noted down.
Oh yeah, this is my note here is the slow-mo ring take scene.
Yeah.
And it's just a great blood and guts and gore mashup, because everything goes to pot here. We get
very quickly.
I can't remember how it happens.
Very quickly.
I think what was it? I think one of the other police officers turn up.
Yeah, he rushes into the station with his finger like
missing finger.
And trick here, anyone wants to do this sort of special effect, your ring finger is the easiest one to bend down and cover up while holding all the others up to make them hidden.
Oh yeah. Oh god, you can't do your little finger.
It's down to the tendons in your wrist. That is the one that easy cover up and keep on camera like that. And you can add some prosthetics around there, a bit of fake blood. Ooh. So he comes in and it basically just talks about how this delinquent that he arrested bit his finger off, and it's like, no, he bit my finger clean off, and shows that effect, shows it to the camera.
Everyone in this film is just so casual about missing body parts. It's like, my finger's missing. You'd be like, oh, okay, cool, just put something on it. Yeah, all right.
We know all too well any American cop would have shot the shit out of that person who did that
quite easily.
His ring's missing. So the other deputies go out looking for it, and it's quite tense. There's a lot of bit of tension build up. When the other deputy, I can't remember his name. I cannot remember his name. The other deputy finds the ring. There's the note you wrote down. It's kind of the one true ring. It gets closer to the camera as Tom Savini is about to grab it.
Yeah.
And just as he's about to grab it, he gets his arm bitten off, and he gets decimated by these other sickos that have been wandering around. Now,
he does.
As he gets decimated, he gets his head caved in.
He can't put the finger on it. He can't put the ring back on, so he puts it on the middle one.
I'm not. Yeah, that's Tom Savini. I'm talking about the deputy that I can't remember his name. Because
I'm getting myself confused.
So the other deputy that did find his ring, he gets absolutely eviscerated from this planet, and apparently the effect they did on his head being caved in, that is again another moment where I said about the film, they added a lot more scratches, a lot more grain, and it just gave it a better effect than showing it clear as day, a head being caved in. It somehow made it look more graphic. And apparently the fake head was filled with gelatin and strawberry preserves, and they made sure the actor to make sure to squeeze it so it all burst out everywhere. That's what they use.
That's fantastic.
Bursts out everywhere.
Now, because I went to Pinewood Studios, I did a lot of special effects modeling a little while ago, and it's so interesting to see how they like you said, they create these, like, this blood and gut stuff just going flying. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's all about, like you said, the blood packs and things, and I had this shoulder wound, like axe wound thing. It was fantastic. And they sat us in this big, what was it, glass container, and the guy was like, "Are you ready?" And he just sat there pumping blood. It just goes everywhere. I must admit, I've got photos of it. I don't know if I can post them on social media, so I might get in trouble because they are pretty graphic. But I had one, and it was to do like bullet wounds.
Yep.
And the girl I had, they were like, "Oh yeah, put like bullet wounds on your arm and stuff." And I didn't have a beard at this point in time. I shaved my beard off for some reason. I don't know why. And she looked at me and she went, "Nah, screw that. I'm going to put bullet wounds through your cheeks." And I was like, "Yeah, all right, go for it." So I had like holes all the way through my cheeks and things.
Oh, lovely.
And I was like, "That's fantastic."
Yep.
And I took a picture. It's like, I took a picture of it all, and I sent it to my family going, "Hey, I've just been shot 1,000 times." And my mum sent me a text back saying, "That is disgusting. I never want to see that again."
Yeah, I'm sure that went down the street.
I got home and she went, "I never want to see what my 20-year-old son looks like with bullet wounds in his chest." And I was like, teeth. I was like, "Oh, sorry." Because she even put like smashed teeth in the hole. It was fantastic.
And this is why prosthetics and real practical effects go a long way, folks.
Really is.
Always appreciate them. It will always live up more than CGI ever will.
Yeah, it just looks so much better.
And it was at this point, after our other deputy gets, shall we say, taken out of the film, it's where Tom Savini picks up his ring off the floor and puts it on his middle finger.
Yes.
But
yes.
A sicko comes up to him, and his anger builds up, and he punch shoots this sicko in the gut a couple of times. Does. It's fantastic. Punches while he shoots.
There's so much. The only word for it is gun fu in this scene.
Yeah, it goes from 0 to 10 instantly.
Oh yeah, it's just like an all-out firefight.
Yeah,
they're shooting all these things, everything, and you've got Ray sitting there looking at the assault rifle. He's like, yeah. Chef Haig's like, nope, not you. It's like, oh. You could just see his frustration. It's like, just give me a gun, man. Just give me a gun.
And he eventually gets a gun.
Eventually
and helps out because the police station is just getting ransacked by sickos who literally just come out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, it's like the horde descends.
Yeah. They just appear. My favorite part of this scene though is when it ends, when they've dealt with the sickos and they're trying to they want to escape. The sheriff he says to Ray, "Fine, but we're taking my car." He turns around. And on cue, the car just explodes for no apparent reason. No apparent reason. Cars in this film just explode for no... In fact, not even cars. Just explosions happen in this film for no apparent reason.
Things just explode. There's no rhyme or reason. I mean, that's typical 1970s films.
Yeah.
It's like, you drop a car off a cliff, it explodes like a 50,000 TNT buildings. You're like, well, no, it wouldn't do though, would it?
Or a car hits another car and it explodes. Why? Because of the impact, because of the shock value, probably. Just because. We had some money left in our budget, so just blow something up. Yeah, well, let's get some pyrotechnics in here. Why not?
Yeah.
So his car explodes, so they all head off in El Rey's truck, and they head to pick up Cherry at the hospital. Speaking of places getting ransacked by sickos.
Yeah.
The hospital's not doing too good.
God, no. The hospital is just a mess at that point.
Yeah.
It's... Obviously, it's... And again, it shows how quickly this virus spreads. Because when we left it, there was one infected.
Yeah.
Which was... I will call him the patient. And then when they come back to this hospital, they walk in. Everyone's running out. They're like, oh, I wonder what's going on here. He's like, I gotta find Cherry. And he just takes off. I think the sheriff is like, right, I'll try and sort some stuff out. And this is why, when I mentioned earlier, they're kind of prototype crossed sadness, sorry. Creatures.
Yeah.
Because we get to see the patient again. And he's this terrifying moment when he's got that circular, I think the cranium saws or whatever they are.
It's like a skill saw for bone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's standing in this operating room, and he's lost his arm. So they've taken his arm off, but obviously he's infected enough that he became a sicko anyway. And he's turned the tables on the guy that did it, and he's just sort of looking at him in this weird sort of quizzical way as he just sort of puts the saw into him, kind of like he's dissecting him a bit.
So his name was Joe. We're talking about the
Joe,
patient that came in with the inner elbow bite. Before we get to him though, we have a thing with Fergie at the hospital. So,
oh yeah,
do you remember this? So the paramedic, he's a character in himself.
Yes,
he is a character in himself. The paramedic that brings in these dead bodies, and one of them would be Fergie, and her brain has been completely scooped out of her head.
Oh yeah, that's a great line there. It's like her brain's been scooped out. How so? Like ice cream.
When Doc Block sees this, he knows she's back in town. She's after my wife again, because apparently there is history there as well. There's a lot of history with this, of a lot of these characters that we get sprinkled in the story, but we don't get full backstories. No. And after seeing Fergie's very much ice cream scooped out brain body, he finds his wife, locks her in a cupboard, and he's basically at the point of, we're fucking done. I knew it.
Well, I think
knew you were cheating. It's a bit more than that.
Bit more than we're done.
I was simplifying. He was ready to put her out with her own friends, as she calls them.
Yeah, it's a great sort of. It's not great. It's a terrifying scene where,
especially with the music.
Yeah,
the music is very intense.
He corners her in this little. I guess I don't know what you call it, but supply cupboard. We'll call it
supply cupboard. Yeah.
And he does. He interrogates her about this, and he goes, did you know she was back in town? It's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, have you been talking to her? It's like, yeah. She admits it because she knows. I think after that, she kind of thinks he knows. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he asks her, "Let me see your pager or your phone or whatever it is."
I think it's a phone. I think it's I guess
a weird
landscape slidey phone. Yeah.
Yeah. Because he's taken hers at this point. He's taken Fergie's phone.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Let me show it." And she says no. So he goes, "All right." So he takes out the yellow needle that she has in her pocket and he stabs her with it.
Yeah.
So she starts to go a bit numb. At that point in time, he takes out the blue one. He hits her with it again. So I think the blue one, I don't know what it does to you, but it looks like it stops your nerves from working. You just can't use your hands or anything.
And it makes you numb.
Like a massive.
I think it makes you numb.
A huge numbing thing. So she can't do anything. And this is where, he puts the two phones together. He matches up the message. He goes, "All right, so you were running away."
Yeah.
Gotcha now. I can't actually remember how she gets out of it.
The paramedic. He's about to use the final.
That's a red pen.
Friend, the red one on her to pull her out. Just as he's about to do it with an amazing shot, it's just the hand holding the syringe like it would be a knife, kind of symbolic with a slasher knife. Just as he's about to stab her, we hear the paramedic behind saying, like, call in for the doctor. Basically,
that was it. Because
the bodies have disappeared.
That was it, yes.
And as he leaves, he locks her in the storage cupboard. Now, as he goes back, you can see the paramedic points out the blood trail on the floor, like with his hand pointing down. He's such a character. He's such a comical character.
He is. He's great.
Everyone in their role is so a bit off. Like we were saying about how the patient Joe, his name is Joe, the original patient, is very nonchalant about his injury. The paramedic is very comical about death and macabre. the Doc Block's colleague is very much, "Oh, look at this. Here's a ball sack without a penis, and pee goes everywhere. No, it's nothing. It's fine." Everyone is so off their character completely.
Fuckers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's this point where Doc Block goes to find Joe, and like you said, he's got the skill saw. This is all in the same night. The virus has just completely taken over his body within an hour, maybe.
Yep.
And he goes to cut.
He goes to cut Dr. William Block. So he's moving out towards him.
Yeah.
With the saw.
Yeah. And
I think he cuts the bridge of his glasses off.
Yes. Yeah.
His glasses ping off, and as he does it, the plug comes out, so it stops working. And this is why they're not, as we said, they're not zombies. They're something different. Because he notices the saws stop working, but rather than sort of going for him again, he goes, "Ugh." He just sort of drops it, and he squeezes this massive pus thing on his face. It's gross, but again, like we said, special practical effects are
they're like
just,
boils.
Yeah,
they're like pussy boils all over their face.
And
yeah,
he just wipes it down his face,
yeah,
and it goes like his eyes, nose is just hanging off his mouth. I sat there and went, because it looks disgusting, which is again practical effects done right, and he just walks off, but he retains that, like we said, that weird sort of nonchalantness about him, because you see him in the background, one arm sort of doing their "ooh, I'm gonna cut you" sort of dance.
Because also in the background, while this is happening, you see shit hitting the fan in the hospital.
Oh yeah, it's all going wrong.
Because also, I also a very important shot earlier on in the hospital. You're seeing sick patients go back and forth down the corridor of the hospital, which El Rey is spotting, and they've all got boils, they've all got the sores. and he's starting to realize, hang on, what's going on here? What? And it's all these patients that have become a sicko, and this is where the hospital just goes to absolute shit. People are being attacked. People are having goo stuck on their face. Yeah. And this is where our band of heroes arrive at the hospital.
Yes.
And El Rey
this is where they're
such a cool scene.
Do you want to lead this one? Because I think you're.
It's just a great scene. It's just a great little action scene.
I have superhero landing gone wrong. I don't know where that's come from, so we'll skip that.
Is it the flip? Is it the flip he does?
It is. Yes, that's it.
So
El Rey he's cool because he picks up the two like little scalpels, doesn't he?
He's got two switchblades in his truck. So he picks them up
was it.
because he asks for a gun from Sheriff and again refuses to give it to him. Picks up the blades from his truck and goes on a rampage in the hospital because he's looking for Cherry.
Yes.
And he's got some really slick skills. He does a run and flip on the wall just to avoid one of them. Does a leg sweep.
Limbo.
Spins them around his. He's got the skills. He's very suave with it.
Oh yeah, I like the bit the one that I thought was impressive when he slices the sicko's neck open. You see the blood spatter, and he does the limbo sort of round. It's like, oh, there we go. Okay,
because, that's another indication that you don't want to get touched by the sicko's blood. You don't want to get touched by it.
Yeah.
Don't want to get touched. There's one point though, as El Rey runs in, you've got Sheriff and his deputy now, and a few other survivors that have joined the crew. Tom Savini's character, he's bless him, he's not very good at his job. No. And when they're outside the hospital, shit is hitting the fan. They're trying to take down the sickos. Tom Savini's panicking. He just pops and kills this old man, who he's panicking. He thinks is a sicko, and he just pops and kills him. Like, oh no, I'm sorry. Oh
no,
damn it,
Grandpa Ted. Oh
yeah.
Oh whoops. Oh well. Moving on.
Moving on. Yeah. So El Rey finds Cherry. She is upset.
She's lost
the leg. She's lost the leg. And he is straight. He has no chill. He is. Would you stop crying over spilt milk?
I know. It's like my leg's missing, and you got one more.
So let's flip over a table, break off the leg of the table, and whack it into her stump, which probably isn't healed. Is probably still. I want to say raw. I was about to say wet, but raw is better. Wet is horrible. Yeah. She's got like a metal.
Moist. It's like a weird metal plate, isn't it?
Yeah, metal plate coming out of where her knee would be, basically. And he just whacks this table leg into it, and somehow it stays. So she has a peg leg. She has a peg leg.
It's like, there you go. Now get up. Oh.
And mission objective complete. He finds Sherry, gets back in the truck with everyone else, and they get the hell out of the hospital.
Oh, it's
a brilliant scene.
It really is.
It's so good.
It's funny because they've all got these cars to head off, and El Rey he drives his truck, and he just tells Cherry to jump in. She's like peg-legging it across the side of the truck. It's like, slow down. It's like, no, get in.
Now, what's great about this is that obviously the wooden leg gets replaced later on with the machine gun. Not really a spoiler.
Yep.
But to do this, they Robert Rodriguez wanted to keep her legs straight. And obviously, if you do it from below the knee can bend. So it looks a bit weird. Yeah. So they made a green screen cast that started above the knee and went all the way down. So her leg was stationary the whole time, so that they could green screen out her leg and put in whatever the stump, the gun. And it looks so much better that it's above the knee because it means her leg as a whole is one straight limb. That's why she looks more peg-leggy, trying to catch up with the truck as she's trying to get in as he's driving away.
It was fantastic. It was such a good scene.
It's so good. It's so good. And the point of leaving the hospital now is to head to JT's.
Yep.
They want to regroup and hold up at JT's.
But before we get there, though, because Dakota's got out at this point in time, she's managed to get to the hospital. Obviously, she can't use her limbs because they're mashed. They just don't work. But she managed to get into her car somehow. I think she breaks her wrist.
That was one of the most gruesome parts of this whole film. The way she breaks her wrist.
Yep. She puts it into that handle because she can't like obviously pull the door.
Bear in
So she
mind they're
braces herself against the door to pull it. But as she does so, she pulls the door open, but her wrist just sort of goes.
No,
And
she puts her
it's
her
not.
numb hand in the handle. Oh, by the way, she's diving. She's jumped out of a window of the hospital into the trash to escape. Basically,
That's where superhero landing gone wrong.
that's superhero landing.
There we go. That's where it came from.
But to get into the car, she sort of gets her numb hand in the handle, uses her foot to try and get the door handle open, but then trips on her other foot because she's wearing heels.
That's it.
As she trips, her hand goes just right. It's a horrible snap.
It's the combination with the door unlocking and the
yeah.
What? Oh, I mean, her
horrible.
hand's numb, so she probably didn't feel it, but still, there you go.
Such a horrible snap.
I like this next scene because we see her. She picks up her kid.
Yeah.
This is also where she goes back home. This is also where we find out the babysitters are just nut jobs.
Well, it's because they're actually called the crazy babysitter twins.
Yeah, because they're insane.
They're insane.
What I thought was interesting about this though was the fact that she's gathering up this kid, and he goes, "Well, I can't leave without my pets." She's like, and he has the most dangerous pets on the planet.
Yeah, he's
He
obsessed
has
with them.
a giant tarantula, which he then goes, "Okay, I've got my tarantula." He goes, "Right, let me get my scorpion," which he just picks up.
Yep.
And he goes, "Oh, and then I'm going to put him in the same cage as my turtle."
Yeah.
I remember just watching this going, "Okay, I'm fairly certain."
Fine. They all get along. It's fine.
They all get along, but I'm like, you can see that it was written in such a way that it just goes to show that the parents hate each other, and the kid is kind of being forgotten.
Yeah.
In the middle, because obviously at some point in time he went, "I've got a tarantula." I'm like, oh, right, fine, whatever. It's like, "I hate your father." They just don't care. It's like, "Oh, I brought home a scorpion." All right, whatever. It just goes to show that the kid's kind of been like in that middle neglected. Of sometimes, yeah, very neglected. And even by the babysitters, they don't care what he's doing.
Oh no,
they have no idea what he's doing.
No,
I think one of them's like slaps the other one with their foot. It's like, "Come on, stop! Give me a manicure or whatever."
Yeah, they're both on the phone, laying on the couch, top and tail. They don't give a shit about the kid. They're just there for the job. There's an interesting point with the kid though. A line he makes, Tony says, the first time we see him, he's playing with 2 alien toys at the dinner table, and he's like, "Gonna eat your brains and gain your knowledge." That line comes back into fruition later on with his dad. Because we do see Josh Brolin again later on, but in a very different way.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we do. Not too much.
No, actually, very soon.
Literally the next scene.
Yeah.
Because the Dakota turns up at her house. She literally looks at the babysitters. She is looking rough at this point. She's got, she's got one wrist that's broken, can't use both. Her hair's disheveled. She probably stinks of trash.
Yeah.
And they say, "Where on earth have you been?" It's been an hour. She literally just tells them to fuck off.
Yeah.
Boots them out the house.
Quite literally boots them out the house.
Oh, yeah. And then just gathers up the kid and goes, "Let's go." And this is when these nutty babysitters they obviously have not got paid. So they think in their mind, rather than maybe letting this woman chill, who looks like she's been through a lot, we'll just smash her car up while she's driving it with a kid in the car.
Yes.
And they wail on this car. And I just remember watching this going, I don't know who on earth would hire these babysitters, but they are clearly not professional.
Yeah, this all, like, she comes back and asks Tony to gather his stuff as quick as possible so they can leave. Probably took 5-10 minutes. By the time they get in the car, they're already ready to destroy the car and possibly kill her.
Oh yeah, they clearly have no qualms about hurting this person or the kid for that matter.
Yeah. They finally escape from the babysitter twins, though. Thank God.
Yep.
Although they come back later on, bit more chilled.
A little bit chilled, yeah. They do apologize. That must be said.
Yeah, that goes a long way. But Dakota ends up. Oh, I've just remembered something. Where Dakota ends up.
Yeah. Her dad's house.
Her dad's house, but we do get a scene with her dad a little bit earlier on.
I believe we do, yes.
Now, her dad, I know this down here, Sheriff Earl. He is in near enough every Rodriguez / Tarantino film. He's the sheriff in Kill Bill. He's the sheriff in From Dusk Till Dawn. His son in this is his son.
Oh, okay.
Wait, no, God, again, Sheriff Earl, who we're talking about, is also in Death Proof because they're in the same universe. As he's in Death Proof, his son is there with him as a deputy. That is his real son in real life. He is in From Dusk Till Dawn 2, again, playing his son. Very convoluted, but it's just another ongoing thing. They use the same... it's all in the same tied-in universe, it's their universe. But we get a quick glimpse of Sheriff Earl earlier on. We don't know it's Dakota's dad. And he's looking after his wife, who's clearly incredibly ill. This is one thing that kind of threw me a bit about how the sickos work. And I don't know if it's a case of the gas got to her, because he's feeding her soup. She farts. He gets a call from Michael Biehn saying shit's hit the fan. Literally, shit's hit the fan. We need you. And he's like, I'll be right there. Turns back to his wife, and she's this monster, this ghoul instantly.
Yep.
But there's no boils. There's no scars on her. She's a different kind of sicko. She looks very different.
Now, I took a note of this, which we'll get to in a second, which I think there are different levels of sicko in this, because when we meet up with Josh Brolin's character, he again seems to be exhibiting different kinds of awareness of what's going on, which I thought was interesting.
He also still has his sort of human consciousness with that about him. So does Bruce Willis later on in the film.
Yeah, so I guess you could call them the grunts.
Yeah.
Who they're just out to cause mayhem.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. You've got, like we said, you've got the lady who's clearly a sicko, but not showing signs of like the physical deformities, shall we say?
Yeah.
Like the Boston boils. You've then got Dr. William Block, who is but he's clearly retained a lot of his intellect. And then obviously you've got Lieutenant Muldoon, Bruce Willis's character, who is heavily infected.
Oh, heavily.
But shows no signs whatsoever, and is clearly very much in control of his senses, shall we say. So there's obviously different levels of infection in this film.
Yeah, I never really thought about that. I always thought she just doesn't fit in. The way she looks so ghoulish compared to the other sickos we've seen. She just doesn't fit in. But that was our
Unless there is something else going on in Planet Terror that maybe they were going to explain but didn't.
Maybe. But that was our like quick introduction early on to Earl McGraw, the sheriff, the proper sheriff, and
clearly the Lone Ranger type.
Yes, and we don't know that he is Dakota's dad until she turns up at his house. But before we find out that she is his daughter, well, she has to get to the front door first. And how does she do that?
Yeah,
this kid's an idiot.
There's I mean, it's, to be fair, the kid's an idiot, and the mum is just irresponsible.
Yeah,
but it just goes to show again how little this kid is clearly cared for.
Oh god, yeah, completely.
Because there's the moment where the mum goes to get out the car with difficulty, it must be said, because she floppy hands.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Oh, I need you to open the glove box." So he does it, and there's a massive handgun in this glove box, and he goes, "Right." So literally goes, "Right. If anyone comes to the window, shoot them. If anyone opens the doors, just shoot them." And it's like, what if it's Dad? Shoot him.
Especially if it's your dad.
Yeah, especially if it's your father, shoot him. He goes, "Okay." And as she gets out, she turns around and goes, "Please don't shoot yourself." Close the door, walks away. What happens? Just a second later, you hear that as he blows a hole in his head.
I love that. I love they had the balls to do it.
Yeah, because you don't see that in films.
No, killing kids is a big no-no.
It's shown. You don't see it.
No.
But it's obviously. And the thing is though, the mum just stands. She goes, "Ugh." There's a moment of like, "Oh, my son's just shot himself."
Yeah, it's like an instant shock. She goes into complete shock instantly. Turns around, but as she goes back to the car, suddenly, like we said earlier at the police station, the horde has just. It's like they've been like a mouse button has clicked on them, dragged them into the scene, dropped them in, and they're just there. And
it's like someone's playing a game of like Contagion. It's like, oh, there's a survivor.
And it also appeared that Josh Brolin's character has brought them there because he appears as well.
Yeah, he does. It also is quite interesting how they managed to catch up to them on foot when she drove a car.
Yeah, I think this sort of film, asking too many questions is not the way to go. I think you just need to accept, if this was a higher budget, mainstream Hollywood horror film, then you can ask some questions. It's Planet Terror. It's meant to be a shitty B-movie, schlocky film.
Again, it's designed that way. It's made to be in the style of 1970s Grindhouse type films.
Yep.
The films, a lot of them probably continuity went out the window.
Oh, gotcha.
So with this, it was like, we don't know how they got there. We don't care. We don't have to explain it. Who cares? Just get on with it. And it works.
So she gets back to the car. The horde arrives. Josh Brolin arrives. Dot Block, sorry. Picks up her son, and she's carrying her dead son while
hands are flopping.
Explain it to like completely sickoed out Doc Block. Look what you've done to our son. Again, even though her son is dead, they are still bickering about how they don't love each other.
Whose fault it is?
Yeah, does it matter now? Does it matter?
No. It's like the son's dead. I don't think it matters. He's infected. He doesn't care.
And she manages to make her way to the front door. Bang, bang, bang. Earl opens the door, and it's a bloodbath in there. We don't know what's happened between him and his wife, but there is blood everywhere, and he's got an axe. He was ready to swing, but it's her. And at this point, he mentions he never wanted to see her again. We don't know why. I'm thinking maybe he wasn't happy with her having a
He's
female lover.
disappointed in her.
Maybe having a female lover, or
be.
just
You
don't know. That's what crossed my mind, but you don't know.
She says, "Look, please let me in. If you let me in this one time, you'll never see me again."
Yeah, I believe so. I'm not sure the exact wording, but right behind her are the sickos, and he soon realizes lets her in.
Yeah, which is where we then transition back to JT's.
Yep.
And this is interesting because obviously at this point in time we get back to JT's. I think hang on. I got to make sure that I haven't shot over. Okay, JT is still. So JT's here. They're all turning up at JT's, and of course, being the nice guy is like, "Oh, who would like some ribs?" So he does. He just goes around. Is that not it?
Before that, they arrive at JT's because of the fact he said there were some delinquents outside, which he didn't realize were sickos. As they arrive at JT's, they establish, which we also saw earlier on, that JT always comes out to greet whoever comes to his diner.
That was it.
Like Fergie did. He didn't come out to greet them when they arrived. So they instantly realize, hang on, something's up here. So they go in, check, fully loaded.
That was it.
And JT is on the floor looking like he's been attacked. They go to check.
That was it, yes.
And he pops up, and it's just barbecue sausages looking like guts.
Yeah.
It's great. And he managed to take care of the sickos himself.
Because the dog looks like he's eating his intestines.
Yeah. Like, get out of here, Rusty.
Was actually barbecue sausages.
Yeah,
that was it. Yes, of course now.
Best in Texas.
Best in Texas.
And he's like, there's a great bit of he thinks he's found the best barbecue sauce now. He thinks he's cracked it. And why has he cracked it?
He's cracked it because it's got blood in it now.
Lovely.
It's like blood. Tasty. The thing is though, it's not explained whose blood it is though. There's blood in it now. He goes, that's the key. So when you watch it, you're sitting there thinking, I hope that's your blood.
Yeah.
Because if that's the delinquent's blood, you are screwed.
The sicko's blood.
The sicko's blood, because you've now probably, if that is sicko's blood, you're infected, your dog's infected.
Yeah.
Anyone you feed those sausages to is infected.
He's making a very horrible barbecue.
Yeah, because you get to see in it. And the thing is, he smokes a lot as well. He smokes over the pot he's cooking in.
Yeah.
And you get to see it, and you're looking at it going, I don't think barbecue sauce is meant to be that thick.
It looks grotesque.
It looks like tar, gloopy tar.
Yeah, that's a great way of displaying it.
Oh, I wouldn't know. No.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the best in Texas, though. So
best in Texas.
So
JT's alive, and this kind of acts as their hub for a bit. They have a safe haven, even if it's for the next 5 minutes.
Yes.
And this is where he's sort of saying, we have vehicles here. Here's some ribs. You want to chill?
Yeah.
And we get.
He's got a nice. I was about to say he's got a nice collection of bike. He's got a nice bike. He's got that old-fashioned like top down convertible, whatever it is.
Yeah.
He's got a nice, impressive collection.
Yeah, he must do well business-wise to be able to afford.
Well, he's best in Texas.
Best in Texas.
Best in Texas.
So the next scene, we end up with Cherry and El Rey in, I guess, JT's bedroom, and he's got a waterbed because why the fuck would he not? And
the fact Ray just like Lizzie goes, oh.
Yeah, he leans back and he's floating on it. And we get another sort of a bit of dialogue similar to when they were in the diner earlier on, just between them two, talking about the jacket again.
That's my jacket. I looked for it for 2 weeks. Okay, it's your jacket.
But then we elaborate on the jacket. Did you find what was in the jacket?
No.
And she's like, fuck no. She looks in it. It's a
ring. This thing is though, there's that great moment though before they even do that where it's like, look in the pocket. She's like, no, the other pocket.
Yes.
No, the inner pocket.
Oh, yes.
It's like, just tell me the pocket, man.
Little bits like that in a script go so far. They just add so much more to. No, not that one. The other one.
It's when it clicks though. She's like, oh, it's like, yeah, that's my jacket. And that's the time when she repeats. She goes, and I looked for it for 2 weeks. It's like, yes, he was looking for you, not the jacket.
And they say it together at the same time because that's where she clicks. 2 weeks. Oh shit. And this is where romance starts to come back between our loving couple here.
Yeah. He takes off his top and his jacket. He's got an impressive collection of tattoos, this man does. He's there everywhere. And things get a bit X-rated, shall we say.
Which it's perfect. You include this in a Grindhousey film because Grindhouse is a term coined for that era of theatres that would show films that included so much nudity, exploitation films, not snuff films. I would never snuff films, but B-movie, really exploitive B-movie horror films, all that trashy, bottom of the barrel stuff you wouldn't get at a normal Hollywood cinema. So including this, but also not showing full-on nudity here. They were very careful to not show full-on nudity, just more romantic shots between the two.
Kind of like the scene in The Terminator, where between Kyle and
Sarah.
Oh Jesus, Sarah, where it's not over the top, but it's just a lot of impliedness.
Yes.
I mean, actually, there's a bit of nudity.
I think you do see nudity in that, which you don't see.
But
here.
It's not. No, you don't. No.
But what you do see is one of my favourite parts of the film, and it's got nothing to do with the film, is the film reel itself just burning up. And a lot of people believed that it was. A lot of people actually in real life believed that they missed a part of this film.
Yep, I did as well. When I first saw it, don't forget I was new to horror, so I immediately went, "Oh, well, shit! Part of the film's missing."
It's great. It's so perfect because you probably, out of story-wise, you're probably missing a good hour, 2 hours of that night.
Oh yeah,
you're missing so much context, so much story, so much action until we get to the next shot where, and that's where I'm going to cut it.
Yep, that's a good place to cut it.
In real. I genuinely didn't think we'd be doing this in 2 parts. I thought we'd breeze through this.
I know. I've still got a page and a half of notes left, because it's great that there's just so much to just break apart.